Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today we have our regulars, Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on again. A gray day, rain, rain, go away, be clear for the eclipse, we pray.
It's always our pleasure. And Jim Eat from Eat Foundation. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you, Sasha. It's great to be here. Great to be with
Great
both
to
of
have
you.
you as always. So right now we have already completed Canadian zonal tournaments, which kind of a part of Toronto Chess Festival. So I don't know how what's the right way to call it, but one phenomenal tournament and festival, indeed real festival, we had in St. John in 1988, New Brunswick.
Yes.
That
And
was, in my opinion, it's still unsurpassed on many levels. World-class tournament in many respects. It combined the matches for Britain, for candidates, international tournaments, the tournaments for rank and file, suppose kind of chess lovers, or and the caliber of people who played there. It was Kasparov and Karpov and Michael Tal, who
yes,
ended up the champion of the Blitz tournament.
champion, yeah.
Great.
That was really a spectacular event. So whatever they're putting now, of course, there's a great element of high tech in this tournament, which was not available at that time
course
in
not,
1988. Of course, so that makes a big difference. But what I would comment on, look at the playing hall. Unlike in 1988, this is not a mass event. In fact, it's very restrictive event to attend, because even if you buy ticket, you are allowed to stay there for 2 hours, and then you have to vacate that, because supposedly other people who would buy the tickets are very expensive, so they would go in. So you can go to fan zone, but it's not the same because you don't see the games. So another people would take your place, pay for the tickets, obviously, and so on. And then it's like three seatings when you're on a cruise liner.
Wow.
You
I
have
have
dinner
never heard of this.
seatings.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a modern invention of organizers from FIDE, who decided to go for money grab. That's not what helps to popularize chess, and this is just nothing but primitive money grab on the part of FIDE. Whether you like it or not, that's how it is. Okay. So
Could be
anyway,
offsetting local expenses. Yeah, anyway.
sorry, Ken, what did you
You
say?
said it could be offsetting local expenses too. I don't know, know how it's being accounted, but
But it is off-putting from the spectator's point of view, which is
Yeah.
not what you want. I remember going
You
to
want to
see
see the whole-
Kasparov Karpov in New York, and we got to see the whole game, and it was wonderful.
yeah, I do agree that for a sporting event, you should have the right to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine to go to a hockey game where you sit for a first period, and
And
then,
then it's
oh, here you go. Okay, the new people are coming to see second period, only second period, because by the time
Right,
second starts, they roll out. Okay, next
I'd be
guy.
interested to see if people pay for that. I know I wouldn't, but I'm not necessarily representative of the average.
To tell you the truth, actually, they've done everything to keep that tournament in a secrecy, a great secrecy. Because even 2 weeks before the tournament, nobody knew even where it's going to be
I
held.
couldn't figure out where it was.
There
Right.
was no address available. There are no telephone number. Even now, if you go to the FIDE site, you will not find a single phone number. And Canadian organizers are saying, sorry, it's a FIDE who calls the shot. We have really nothing to do with all that. And FIDE is unachievable, simply. And they don't have any responsibility whatsoever, because FIDE is a FIDE. What do you want from organization which is run by former KGB operatives, and who is towing the line to Mr. Putin and Now it's not KGB, it's FSB. Okay, it's supported by Russian oligarchs. There is no corporate money, which Kasparov was so trying hard to get corporate money into chess. No, FIDE would for it. They would go for the Fosagra, all these companies run by Russian oligarchs. That's how FIDE exists. So they don't need even this money. Actually, sorry, Ken.
I think FIDE is about 3 million outside or some number like that, outside Russia. So
3 million
corporate sponsors. I thought they had some. They had
sponsors.
Yeah. Corporate, maybe corporate affiliates. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but if you take size of corporate, when you have Fosagra, which put in this millions of dollars, and you may have somebody else who is putting probably $150. So not all sponsors are created equal. I'm talking about major sponsors and all the major sponsors. And when the NEPA had played the World Championship, all the major sponsorship of 99%, if not more, was coming from Russian oligarchs. Okay, so
Magnus Carlsen has done well in getting corporate sponsorship as well, so it can be done. But I don't think it's done this way, because what the sponsors want is maximum publicity. They want to get their names out there.
Absolutely. And what FIDE is doing here in Toronto, they are trying to restrict as much as possible public appearance on. Here are the idea of 3 sittings, of very high prizes, unavailable contact from FIDE even to talk to them about something. And by the way, Nick Poliveda applied for press passes. Believe it or not, even today, there is no response from FIDE. That's much worse than if we would be rejected, because if it's rejected, basically all what you can say is thank you very much for your interest. We've had a lot of people or agencies like Wall Street Journal and New York Times and The Economist and so on. And sorry, we will try to accommodate you next time. And that's the end of story. I mean, what else do we need at that point? But no, that's not their game. They want to enjoy their power, saying that who you are even to talk to us. Who are you? We are the power. We are the FIDE. And we are going to do everything what we want, even by not replying. Sorry, Ken, what did you say?
I'm just saying, what do we gain by talking about this? I mean, they're organizing something, from all across the world in a different country. I haven't been there. I haven't seen the setup, so I don't really know how it has to be arranged. I did see Karjakin Carlsen in the South Street Seaport, and they had to make do with really cramped quarters, actually. So that explains some of the strictures they had there. So. It was a very nice venue, but it was actually really off a public square. I think they helped that would attract attention. They had publicity in the surrounding area, but it was, also fairly cramped area, which they had to manage very well. So I don't know. They sent parties on site to arrange everything months in advance.
Right. Well, I feel very sympathetic to organizers, because usually organizers have so much to deal with and expenses that people don't account for, take for granted. And, the fundraising aspect of it is very difficult. The logistics is very difficult to pull off. And so I'm very sympathetic, but, every event that I've ever organized, I was dying to get people to attend, and I was dying to get people to cover it. So I don't understand the mindset in this particular event. But kudos to them for putting it on. I will say that.
Okay, again, you get a few games from Canadians.
From the zonals, yes. So I have a fantastic tactical skirmish by the winner of the open event. And then I have the fact that the 3 winners of the women event all had to win on demand, so to speak. And
The pressure was on.
The pressure was on, yes. So all scored 7.5 out of 9. The tournament was decided in tie breaks. Okay, so Shyam Thavandiran was the winner of the men's event. There were, Batur Sambuev, the grandmaster, and Razvan Priotu, younger grandmaster, all got buffeted by these IMs, killer IMs. So here we go, battle of 2 killer IMs against Nikolai Noritsyn. And it's an opening that I've played myself for white, the advanced French defense.
Oh yes, I've played against it often.
Yep, with the A3 move. Okay, so now you're threatening to play B4 and establish a clamp on the queen side. So black forestalls that with C4, and now we get a long maneuvering game.
Yes,
where white has to judge how to expand on the king side. So play G3, maybe leave it open whether you're going to play with F4 or H4. Anyway, Noritsyn decided to go H4 right away. Right away. So
no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yes. And then, the memory of playing chess when you've just learned the game, out comes the rook to H3. Well, this is a novel way to begin. So you can maneuver your pieces behind that rook. It can be, exerting pressure if it decides later to go to G3.
Right.
You might even find it useful for the fact of guarding C3 if you later play B3 yourself to open up the queen side. So it's definitely a move that's looking far ahead. But let's see how white manages the needs of the position in the meantime. Okay, so now Noritsyn moved the other rook, and this is definitely a menacing move, threatening to open a file and thereby discouraging black from castling queenside, which of course Thavandiran does right away. And now comes a compromising move. One of the things you have to judge is whether you can escape from the horrible pin that's going to happen if you recapture right away.
Right.
So you always have to tactically judge this really horrible looking pin. Now I can just bring the other knight down.
All of a sudden the bad bishop is pretty nasty.
Yes. And now we see the point of rook H3. It is magically guarding C3 after the knight has come. Not that black might be loath to capture on the open C file anyway, but it helps that your rook is guarding that pawn.
No, you pointed that out, Ken, right away, and it wasn't something that I was looking at, is opening up the B file and having the rook H rook guarding the C3. But that's absolutely what was going on here. And I assumed when you did the rook lift, you're thinking of kingside attack, but not at all. You're anticipating black to castle queenside, and you want to open up the queenside.
Yeah, well, it's flexible. Black could have tried to castle kingside. There are times when black plays this position, trying to get the knight out to F5, although white's H4 and the fact that black responded H6 rather than H5 worked against the plan of black putting a knight on F5, because it could easily be dislodged by G4. So anyway, so this is the setup the players chose. I don't know if they're out of book at this point.
Right, neither do I. This is not the way I would play it. And
the other thing is that, except for one small detail, white is actually really well set up here to consider playing C4. I mean, well, you need one more piece to be on the C4 square, but if you get another guard on C3, you might pin black's queen to it. So there's that as well. And I maintain that white would have a winning position if white could just temporarily pretend that king to G1 was a legal move. But so it's the fact of white's king being in the center that will ultimately prove white's undoing in this game.
It would be even more useful if white could play bishop D3 and C2 right away.
Right away, yes.
Right, break that horrible pin, yes. Yep, so white, however, chose a different way of breaking the horrible pin, which was creating a diversion. Okay, so now black captures, but there's still something guarding B3, and the question now is what is white's queen doing on the king side, and can white capture on e6? Well, the general answer is no, because when black plays bishop d7, it's skewering the white rook on h3.
Right.
On the other hand, if white is able to explode black's center, white could get certain compensation for giving up the exchange like that. Anyway, black provoked the issue, saying, "Hey, queen, where are you going?"
Right.
The answer is the queen is going back to e2. It can't capture on e6. That doesn't tactically work. Advancing to g6 doesn't really have a point. So back it goes. Now, c4 is something that can be contemplated. Okay. Well, black decided to resolve some tension in the center and then resolve the fact of white's knight. Once you capture on e5, now white's knight was threatening to go to d4.
Right.
And then black's bishop on a4 would have been pointless. So black trades it off, but now it's really weird. White has two developed rooks, but neither bishop is developed. Black has not developed either minor piece either. At least the bishop has a good square on c5, and the knight now is set up so that it can come out to f5.
This is an example of two bishops, but it's still in some way a semi-closed position. So
right.
The knight can be effective in this type of position.
Right. So
and it could go to f5, it could go to c6. So, I'm not so sure I would wouldn't take black's position right now.
Yeah, I think because black can actually complete development much more easily. White's bishop on c1 is fine, but the bishop on f1 is going to take a long time to find a square.
Correct.
So now here you go. The knight is coming into f5, and now already white is facing mortal threats. And the engine gives black half a pawn advantage. Okay, so now white plays bishop e3 to block that threat. And now the all-seeing tactical eye says that black can play knight g4, and the say the dark square weaknesses that black will create will outweigh what the loss of one or two pawns on the h pawn, maybe the g pawn in some position.
But now the bishop on f1 is definitely the problem in this position. It's so interesting that we have an advanced French where white has the bad bishop.
Right. Yes. And it is it's a nice bishop in theory if it could hop over white's queen and get to d3, but
right.
But it is bad in this position. And,
or even something like g3 and bishop h3 would help.
Sure, but this is so they're saying rook f7 was a mistake and they should have played knight g4.
Yeah,
knight g4 does look pretty threatening.
Yeah. It does, and so the engine doesn't elaborate on what's going to happen here, but obviously you have to work out the tactics and make sure that is f2 actually probably is threatened right away. Actually,
right, it is.
I don't actually see what's wrong with this. Okay. Anyway, okay, so anyways, so white captured on h5, but black is content to just pile up pressure on f2.
Right.
White guarded it this way, but now the dark squares
sooner or later, right?
Sooner or later, but now the dark squares really are getting probed here.
Right.
White's bishop on f1 is not going to help them. So white played queen f2, hoping to palliate the dark squares. But wait a second. Yeah, and but now black has a very sharp, nice move. Now we're just opening up lines. And if I saw this position, I would think white was actually lost here. The computer says white only is a pawn disadvantage, but this looks like collapse.
Yeah, I would love to be black.
White's rook on h5 has no defensive value, and it might even get trapped in some positions.
Sure.
Black can switch a rook to the d file really easily once it opens up. But okay, and now you're losing a center pawn with check and e4. So white should have played queen e2, but I don't know. Gosh, aren't things going to get forked? Look at it. Okay, so now, black's move supposedly tunks away the advantage. I could look at the game score to see how short of time they were, but
right.
But rook e7, rook c7, rook d8, student body left, coming in on the queen side was the thing to do. Okay, so this move was a little bit too automatic, and then white should have taken the opportunity to get rid of black's knight.
Yeah,
this is still the case on the next move as well. Okay, so and now, now black actually makes a move that gives white the advantage according to the engine. So d3. Let's see. Can we see what's happening with d3? Why can't white take it?
Yeah, I that wouldn't have occurred to me.
Yeah, it would not have occurred to me too. And this is completely opaque to me. Goodness, I don't have a board engine here. Let's see. Let's use our brains here. What is going on here? Unless it's just black can play a rook to the d file and get counterplay.
Or knight e3 that's a threat.
Knight e3. No, white is rook c5 check. So color me mystified. If we had a studio audience with engines, we could see what is the idea here. Okay, well, d3, bishop takes d3. Yeah, seems to say white should play king e2 to take shelter behind the pawn. And then, so maybe it's just the fact that black would play rook d8, hitting the bishop, and get counterplay on the d file. Okay. Anyway, black did not do that. Black played here. White played.
Which is a natural move to play.
Yes. Now I'm losing all with the annotations. I'm sort of losing my place here.
Oh, okay.
What happened was, your knight d6, but your rook b4. I see why it's a mistake. You're just losing material here.
Yeah.
White just capture on d4, and then there's a nice healthy pawn ahead. Instead, however, though, white went for the jugular. So this is the key juncture of the game, and I really should have gone to the game score to see how much time pressure there was. I can do that.
Yeah, this is turned around so quickly.
Yes. So now bishop g6, winning something? No, not winning something.
Wow.
Now you had to take your medicine and capture black's rook, and then after queen g6, black has an attack, and now the waywardness of the rook on h5, even if it goes to c5, it's not on a great square, is going to pay. But instead, white captured the queen, and now this is checkmate, sir. So fantastic end to the game. A really rather pretty. This is technically almost what is called a model checkmate, because all three of black's pieces and a pawn are involved in it. And each square is covered exactly once, except for d2, which is covered by both rooks.
So, and white has exactly extra queen, believe it or not.
Yes. So that was the most spectacular game by the winner of the tournament.
Well, that turned around quickly, and it was like I'm for black. All of a sudden, black is lost, and then all of a sudden, black won.
a bit ropey in the end, though, and let's just see if the times are preserved in this game here. Yes, they are down to a minute at this point.
Oh, well, that explains.
White at 12 minutes after playing bishop g6. Black at just 46 seconds for 10 moves.
Wow.
So maybe white was trying to exploit black's time pressure. At least that's if the clock times were right.
Yeah, and
sure they're right.
We can assume that that would explain some of the questionable moves.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so let me mention what the setup was for round 9. The three winners of the tournament were Miley Jade Welle on tiebreak over Svetlana Demchenko and Li Yunshan, or Yunshan Li.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all three, as you see, won their games to tie at 7.5 out of 9. Definitely well ahead of the field. So let's see the game by the.
Can you explain to me who advances out of the zonal? Is it all three players?
Well, no. So it was actually done as a tiebreak. So this is explained here in this article by Chess Place. So their own Svetlana Demchenko writes for them to finish second is how the story is written. It may not say clearly which of the women advanced. Here, Orleans was declared and thus became the new Canadian women's champion. So Relay won on the on the tiebreak criterion. So it's not clearly stated that she goes on to the next stage, Mélégée Relay, but that's what I guess.
Yeah, tie-breaking for the championship is one thing that's perfectly understandable, but tie-breaking for advancing, that's less. I would want that to be played off.
Yeah, and I don't know if 2 or 3. Yeah, so I guess it's unclear to me. So I must confess it's unclear.
That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yep. So this game stays tight for a long while, and it's Sicilian 4 nights, then the Sheshnikov. I'm not sure exactly what the name of this move order is, but I'm sure this is booked for
It's been played so many times, right?
Yeah, for a long time here. Yeah. So, and as I should have taken time to load this into ChessBase and find out exactly where the end of book is.
Yeah.
Describe that by the time of F5 we have a real game.
Right.
Okay, so it's honors even. It's going to be a question of who cracks, who could maintain the pressure. White has pressure on the D file and D5, but a breakthrough is going to mean less. Black has pressure on the F file, and if White allows a breakthrough there, then it's going to be very consequential. That's the basic story of a position like this. So here we go. Now, Black puts a little finger on F2, and maybe I'm considering taking the knight on D5 and playing bishop B6, although that's still not cause for desperation.
No.
However, the engine does say that it was high time for White to abandon the idea of containing the center blockade and instead go for the idea of preventing Black's rooks from opening the file. So the engine wants White to. Wow, this even looks a little desperate. But on the other hand, this kingside structure, especially with White goes King H1, is really not so bad for White. Black does not have a knight. Black does not have a light squared bishop. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So the end game like this is fine for me. So
true.
That's the line. And one of the surprising little verities is not really relevant in this position, is that if you're defending with king, rook, and 3 against king, rook, and 4 on the king side, this formation of pawns is really not bad. It blocks attempts by Black to make a pass pawn.
That's true. That's a very good point, because it looks ugly.
What I learned by reading Chess magazines recently.
No, that's a great comment.
But anyway, this
Queen F1 was a mistake.
Was a mistake.
E takes F5 should have been.
So Queen F1 was a definite mistake.
It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, so this does allow Black to break through. Now here is where I'm not sure that I have the right game score.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Mars, what's going on here? So, so why did White retreat with bishop D3? In which case you could just resign. And once again, I do have the moves of the game for this thing, and I'm consulting them because so both players are down under a minute at this time for 10 more moves. So it was, a time scramble.
Yeah, but recapturing on D5 is, you don't have to think about that.
Yeah, and the other thing to note is this was with the 30-second increment. So if the clock shows 32 seconds after the move bishop D3 is played, the reality is that the time went down to 2 seconds.
Wow.
So we have to maybe understand this as having been desperate time pressure already. But for whatever reason, the point is that if white captures on d5 and black plays bishop b6,
What are you
white
going to do?
can't play this move.
Yeah.
You can't defend f2 again. So it's just the reality.
You can take the rook.
Through. What's that? Yeah. Oh, that's what
You could take the if bishop b6. I'd play rook. Bishop takes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. So, oh, you're right. You can't take the rook. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. So what's going on here? Maybe black just plays moves like this.
Yeah, pass.
Yeah, and you're.
Brandwine would say.
Then maybe you do have time for this.
Yeah.
Probably defense. Well, again, I'm not sure how to get in local.
E4 and E3 is coming too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. E4, E3 is coming. So, okay. So sorry, you're right. I was missing that the rook was just hanging. But here we go. So the rook comes down, and now, so now this move must just be a DGT error. But
yeah,
they haven't confirmed the moves of the game. I looked. So the rest I will just say black won. So
okay.
And,
all right, that was a little unsatisfying, but okay.
Yeah. So this game, so Li Yunshan was I'll play over. This is also a very interesting tactical skirmish.
What's the rating difference between the players here? Is there
well,
one?
It's a little unclear to me. It's one of the reasons why I went to the trouble to make a good file of these games.
Uh-huh.
So the published ratings are 2262 for Li Yunshan and Balin Glenda 1885. But Balin Glenda is probably underrated.
Okay.
So I have scripts that handle these things. I haven't done it yet, though.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's part of the reason I went to trouble to make a regularized PGM that my scripts can use is I want to get a snapshot in Canada of what's happened with ratings. I've promised FIDE that I will try to assess as best I can the worldwide state of ratings. But anyway, this is my best tournament for Canada.
And that's in your spare time.
Not quite. I have a seminar that's running right now where this could be on the menu.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have
typical, right?
Yeah, very, very, very typical attack in this kind of position. White has it led with pieces. It's a little odd. It's leading with pawns, and
Whoa.
you have to judge these tactics here. Okay, so now White's up a piece. What is happening, especially after White captures? So Black has lots of pawns for it. So what is happening in this position? Well, the engine says large advantage to White. The engine basically says White is a piece up, and you might make the wry thing here that since White has control of the light squares and White's king is in no danger, White has the piece and the compensation. But so Black makes one little try in an attack, but this was a nice way to forestall it by playing the knight back. Another attempt at
what was Black thinking in doing that? Why not just play knight f6 or something? Not losing the piece.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah, well, it was a miscalculation.
I guess so. Yeah, it could be as simple as that, right?
Yep, and this is a nice way to finish.
Yeah, and that's nice.
Just
nice bait. Yep.
Yeah, nice bait coming back. Mm-hmm. And so I'll just show a glimpse of because this was actually a very smooth conversion by Svetlana Demchenko. Maybe I have time to page it through. Playing the Nakamura defense. So I will say Nakamura defense. Dutch defense is but not the Leningrad.
Right.
Dutch. So.
Kind of a not in Stonewall either, right? But
yeah. Black is fine here, but Black should make double pawns on c3 now that White has gotten out of the pin. That's your positional compensation here. So Black
that's that's okay.
Yeah,
so you lost your opportunity to do that.
Right, and White can actually get an attack with taking on e6 at knight b5 and queen f4. So
what about knight b5 right away?
Or knight b5 right away is probably a decent move as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
a threat right
yeah,
away.
you needed to take the knight, so instead white provoked it, and now black is fine.
Yeah.
Relatively fine. Um,
Oh,
but
this looks like something that I would have done. Yes, provoke
Yeah.
them into playing a good move.
except somehow the engine evaluation is swung by more than a pawn black's way without saying anything was an inaccuracy for white. So some positions here just maybe get better, unless there is some drastic thing white could have done, like play c4 earlier on. Black's knight on d6 is the all-seeing wonder, guarding b7, clamping on c4 and e4.
Really?
Yeah. So maybe white couldn't play c4. Black had too much on it.
Yeah, right. I think that's correct.
Yeah, black starts castle by hand. So there are inaccuracies here, but let's just say this is just chess. And the point is actually that black's maneuvering looks optically better than white's. Where is white going with this queen? And now black was actually ready for a breakthrough, and black is a pawn ahead, and now no more double pawns. Couldn't take on h5, evidently. Things would have been pinned and lines open when you try to unpin.
Yeah.
So black is now cooking, and white's rooks on the b file maybe are going to look a little bit strange. Well, in fact, white decided to sacrifice one of them. And trading rooks off when you're the exchange ahead is a good idea. Now black can just play it calm and convert this position. So white does have nice extra pawn, and the pawn chain is very nice, but black is just evidently able to seep through in this position.
Yeah, this is more than just a matter of technique, though. This is not that easy.
Yeah, it's not that easy because white could even guard a4 with two pieces, even if you gang up on a4. But this is a mistake that did just misjudge the position with the split pawns.
Right.
And the fact that now white really cannot guard d6.
Exactly. Yeah.
c6, I mean. So this, enable white to guard everything, but actually now black's king blocks the pawns and the rook can come in.
Right.
So.
And you got no hope of advancing. So yeah.
Just
that after knight c3, it was a matter of technique. But
yeah. And now white gets desperate because he can't guard d4 forever. And black is accurately judged. This is a completely winning king and pawn ending. So
I could win this.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so that's the story for the winners of the Canadian Zonals. Congratulations to them.
Of course, the last position reminds me of an old friend of mine. We were playing a lot of blitz, and I had some advantage. Also, he was pretty good. And in some positions, for example, in one position, he had overwhelming advantage, and in a position and time. And I was fighting to find reasons not to resign.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something like that. He said, Sasha, there are some positions in chess that even I can win. And this is one of those. I resigned immediately. That was a really good saying. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for today's program. And we will get you next week.
Thanks for the games, Ken.
Yes, good to see you. Yes.
And hopefully next time we will see some candidates, at least.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Exactly. Fun starts in 2 hours. So
exactly. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.